The advice you'll find all over YouTube about connecting your AI tools will have you knee-deep in API documentation for weeks. But if you follow the framework inside this video, you can integrate any two AI systems in your business in an afternoon. I know this because I've spent the last several years helping businesses actually connect their tools together. And what I've found is that 87% of companies can't figure out how to do this. That's not a small problem. And today I'm going to show you exactly why it's happening and exactly how to fix it. But first, let's talk about how most people approach this, so you can spot what's going wrong. The traditional advice for AI integration usually starts with someone telling you to build a tech stack. You might hear terms like API architecture, middleware layers, or webhook infrastructure. Whatever language they use, the end result is the same: a complicated diagram of every tool your business uses, with little arrows pointing everywhere, color-coded by department, probably made in some software you had to pay for just to open the file. Step 2 of the corporate approach is to then zoom into that diagram and figure out the data flow between each pair of tools. This usually involves a developer or someone pretending to be a developer, mapping out every single field that needs to pass between System A and System B. In my experience, a mid-sized business has anywhere from 15 to 40 tools in active use. When you multiply that by all the possible connections between them, you're looking at a project that could take 6 months before a single thing actually works differently. But don't worry, because once you've mapped all that out, the next step is to hire someone to build it. That someone will take your beautiful diagram, nod very seriously, charge you somewhere between $10,000 and $50,000, and deliver something that works great until one of your tools updates its interface and the whole thing breaks on a Tuesday afternoon. Are you starting to see the problem? Here's the thing. We are not a Fortune 500 company with a 6-month runway and an engineering team. We're running real businesses with real deadlines and real consequences when things don't work. So I think it's time we stop treating enterprise-level advice like it applies to us, because it doesn't. So what's the better way? Let's get into it. Step 1 is to pick your most painful handoff. Yeah, I know. I told you this was going to be simpler. A handoff is any moment in your business where information has to move from one place to another, and right now, a human is doing that moving, manually, every single time. You don't need a tech stack diagram for this. You just need to think about where your day keeps getting interrupted by something dumb. Where are you or someone on your team copying and pasting the same information between two different places? Where does something fall through the cracks because the copy-paste didn't happen? Some common examples. Someone emails you about a meeting and you manually create the calendar event. A new client signs a contract and someone has to go update 4 different systems with their information. A customer submits a support ticket and a human has to read it, categorize it, and route it to the right person. Pick the one that hurts the most. The one that eats time you don't have or causes errors you can't afford. That's your starting point. Here's the beauty of starting small. In a big corporate environment, you might genuinely need that 40-tool diagram before you can touch anything. But I'm guessing that you could name your most painful handoff in about 30 seconds. Step 2 is to map the 2 endpoints. Just 2, not your whole tech stack. Not every tool you own. 2. The sending system, meaning where the information starts, and the receiving system, meaning where it needs to end up. So in the example where someone emails you about a meeting, your sending system is Gmail. Your receiving system is Google Calendar. That's it. We're not solving world hunger today. We're connecting 2 dots. What we're doing here, in proper jargon, is identifying your source and your destination. And what I want you to write down is 3 things. What information exists in the source, what information needs to show up in the destination, and what event triggers the whole thing to start. The trigger is usually something like when this happens, when an email arrives, when a form gets submitted, when a payment clears. Write all 3 down. Seriously, this takes about 5 minutes, and it is the step most people skip because they think they can hold it in their head. You cannot hold it in your head. Write it down. Step 3 is where we pick the translator. This is the tool that sits between your 2 systems and actually moves the information. You might have heard of Zapier, Make, or N8N. These are what people in the industry call integration platforms or orchestration layers. But honestly, just think of them as translators. They speak the language of System A, and they speak the language of System B, and their entire job is to pass the message between them. Now here's where AI comes into this. A basic integration just moves data. AI integration transforms it in transit. So without AI, email arrives. Calendar event gets created with the email subject as the title. This seems fine and functional, yet it's boring. With AI, email arrives. The AI reads the email, extracts the date, time, attendees, and agenda, creates the calendar event with all the right details, adds the action items to your task manager, and drafts a confirmation reply for you to send. Now for the same trigger, we get a massively different output. The translator tools I mentioned handle the plumbing. The AI, usually something like GPT-4 or Claude sitting inside that workflow, handles the thinking. Once you understand that distinction, the whole thing starts to make sense. Step 4 is to assign an owner. This is the step nobody talks about, and it is the reason most integrations break within 3 months. An AI integration is not a project you complete. It is a system you maintain. Tools update. APIs change. Business processes shift. If nobody owns it, nobody notices when it quietly stops working until something important falls through the cracks and you're trying to figure out where the last 3 weeks of data went. Your owner doesn't need to be a developer. They need to be someone who understands what the integration is supposed to do, can tell when it's not doing it, and knows who to call when it breaks. That's it. Think of your integration like a new hire. You wouldn't bring someone onto your team, give them their first day orientation, and then never check in with them again. Same logic applies here. Somebody needs to be responsible for this thing's performance, its improvement over time, and any errors that come up. Assign that person before you build anything. Step 5 is to build the smallest version that actually works. Not the perfect version, not the version that handles every edge case. The version that solves the core problem for the most common scenario and gets turned on. I call this a minimum viable integration. And the reason it matters is that you will learn more from watching a live integration run for 2 weeks than from planning it for 2 months. Every time I've seen businesses try to build the complete, fully automated, handles everything version on the first attempt, they end up with something so complicated that nobody can troubleshoot it when it breaks. Start with the happy path. The most common version of the trigger, the most common version of the data, the most common destination. Get that working. Turn it on. Watch it for a week. Then add complexity based on what you actually observe, not what you hypothetically imagined. In the email to calendar example, version 1 might just be email arrives and it gets tagged with a specific label, calendar event gets created. That's it. No AI yet. No task manager. No draft reply. Just that. Once it runs cleanly for a week, layer in the AI. Then layer in the task manager. Build confidence before you build complexity. Step 6 is to document the logic. Not because you love documentation, because 3 months from now, something will change, and you will have absolutely no memory of why you made the decisions you made inside this workflow. Your documentation doesn't need to be a 30-page manual. It needs to answer 4 questions. What does this integration do? What triggers it? What could break it? And who do you call when it breaks? That's a single page, maybe 2. Right at the day you turn the integration on, when everything is fresh, and put it somewhere your owner can find it. If we add up the time for each of these steps, you are looking at an afternoon. 1 focused afternoon to go from my tools don't talk to each other, 2, I have a working integration and a plan to expand it. And here's where it compounds. Because unlike the enterprise approach where you spend 6 months building something before you see any return, this method gives you the benefit immediately. If your most painful handoff is eating 45 minutes a day of someone's time, and your integration takes an afternoon to build, you've paid yourself back by Friday. And then you take that time you reclaimed, find the next most painful handoff, and do it again. 6 months of this, and your business runs differently. Meanwhile, the people who started with a 40-tool diagram are still in planning meetings. I've already walked over 200 businesses through versions of this framework, and the ones who start small, start fast, and iterate consistently are the ones who end up with genuinely automated businesses. The ones who try to boil the ocean first are the ones who email me 8 months later having built nothing. So start with 1 handoff. Pick your 2 endpoints. Find your translator. Assign an owner. Build the smallest version that works. Document the logic. And remember, the goal was never to have AI tools. The goal was to have a business that runs without you doing the dumb stuff. Go make your tools talk to each other.